Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you're watching. This is another episode of the Candid Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. I'm so glad that you're here with us. Well, we are still looking at everything taking place in the country, and we are more than glad to bring you up to date with the comprehensive analysis of the same. I'm joined here by Professor Herman Manyora. How are you, sir?
Good.
Still looking at how the country is moving and all that, and of course I'm still reflecting at the president's stand on the controversial finance bill 2023 with regards to whatever it is that he said during that day when he had that roundtable interview with members of the press at the House on the Hill. And definitely he said very well that you are aware this was in my manifesto, and had all these things planned. So he calls the plan. And he goes ahead despite the public uproar that has been there to defend his move, to defend the bill, and of course rallies behind the country to actually support him on the same. On the other hand, we are seeing the opposition leader also maintaining his stand. Now, I wonder why is it that the president would see everything good in this while the larger public says a different thing altogether?
That's the question you must ask the president, because like he asked the media to ask Gachagua, I think I also ask you to ask him. In other words, what you are asking is, how come everybody is seeing what the president is not seeing? There must be something we don't understand. Why is he pushing for something which, even if he were to call his own MPs in a meeting at State House and tell them, please tell me the truth, but since I don't want you to fear victimization, just write somewhere, do we levy 3% or not? Write and fold the paper and throw in a basket. Then my aides will come there and they put the no's and the yes. He will be shocked. All the MPs will say, don't levy 3% housing. They know. But they will vote for it because they fear. They fear him.
Okay.
But if inside them, in their heart of hearts, every Kenyan MP knows this housing animal is not acceptable, people don't like it, and it will cost some of them their seats in 2027. But they can't tell the president. So he must ask himself, why am I pushing something which everybody is against?
But then why do you think that some of the members of parliament are kind of silent on this? Because one, I believe that they are in that category of individuals in this country, or perhaps of civil servants who earn about the 500,000 mark. So definitely that also affects them, the 35% VAT on that salary, of course that increase that was taking place there. Then if you also go back, they're also going to get affected by the 3% at the same time. But all of them are silent as at now.
I've told you, those in the president's corner fear telling him the truth. So they will vote for the bill because they don't want to offend the president. But they will end up offending the people who matter more than the president. The people of Kenya, and in particular, the people who put them in parliament. Come 2027, I can assure you, out of every 10 MP who vote for this bill, yes, 7 will not come to parliament. No, they will not come to parliament.
This idea of the president not being told the truth has been articulated in the past by the Prime Minister Raila, who told him during the burial of the wife, of course, to the late Kimathi, of course, Mama Mukami Kimathi, may her soul rest in eternal peace for that matter. They had that conversation there. But then the president was quick in responding, and he said that it's either you not being told the truth, because as from where I stand, I know I'm well guided, and I'm okay.
Let me help you and help the president and help the country. It could be quite possible that this is a wonderful idea of housing. It could be quite possible that it's a good thing to have. It could be quite possible that this housing thing would benefit the country and benefit the workers and everybody. But no government in the world worth its salt implements things just because they are good or right. No. If governments were to do things just because they were good or right, then many governments will be kicked out of power. Governments are sometimes forced to shelve a good idea because it has not been received well. Yes. Sometimes you give in, even God gave in. God told people, listen you people, you're asking me for a king. These kings will turn your children into slaves. They will do all manner of things to your people, but people told God, give us kings. And God gave them kings. Sometimes sometimes you give in. That is how governments survive. Governments read the pulse of the country. What President Ruto has failed to do is to read the mood of the country, the pulse of the country, and it's against the housing thing. It may have nothing to do with whether it's good or bad. No, the people of this country are against it, and for good measure. People are badly paid. Already the pay slip cannot withstand any further scratch, leave alone deduction. And that's why everybody's up in arms. So why can't he start where he should start? Let them grow the economy.
So you do,
and then improve the salaries, then come up with this housing thing.
So you do support and maintain the notion that there are people who surround the president who are not telling him the truth.
No, you know, you don't blame anybody. Don't blame the president. Don't blame the people. This is how things are done everywhere. Many people don't tell the president the truth. And if they see you are a person who tells him the truth, they make sure you don't get next to him. But you think the president will need to be told? The president knows. You see the way he's trying to fight for it. He cannot be fighting the way he's fighting if he didn't know people don't want it. So then the question must only be one. What is this the president knows about this housing animal that we don't know? He must tell us. Maybe we will agree. Once the president makes us see why he's fighting tooth and nail for this housing thing, we could support him. Me, I support the government. I support the president. But I want to be told exactly what is this thing that is making the president not see what everybody else is seeing. Once I'm told, I'll support. In fact, I'll use all my power, all that is within my reach, to convince the people of this country that this housing thing is a good thing. Yeah.
But as now,
he has to convince me first.
Stand now, you're not convinced at all.
Because the country says no. Everybody's saying no. Attack reduced 3% as MA, it is 0.5%. People say no. It was 1.5 during Uhuru's time. People said no. They went to court. Uhuru had to shelve it. The president comes and doubles it. And he expects people to say yes. VAT was 16. Uhuru had to give in to pressure. He reduced it to 18, to 6. I don't mean to 8 for on petrol and diesel. Now the president now comes and makes it double, puts it to 16. Excuse me, is there something the president knows we don't know? Or could it just be IMF? I would advise the president, if it's IMF has made many countries go down. IMF has made many presidents.
But of course, the president made it very clear that the IMF are the partners of this country, but there is no way the
that's what I'm saying.
Makes decisions
if it's not IMF, that's the only reason I could see, then let him share the reason with us. He has to share with us. I, for one, I undertake to fight for this thing on behalf of the president and with the president until the people understand it's a good thing. But let him convince me what he's seeing that we are not seeing.
He made his statement that day.
But he has not said why. He's just pushing for it. The president is pushing 3% housing, but everybody's saying no. So, against the whole country, there must be something the president knows. And I invite the president to share that with us. Yes.
So, what is it that he knows?
He should tell us. I don't know. He should tell us. And then we shall help him. I will help him myself.
You people have been talking about overtaxation and all that. Well, he said, first of all, pertaining to this 3% levy, housing levy for that matter, he said that's not tax anyway.
But then if something is not a tax, then it should be voluntary. And the tax is tax, but it has opened the window to admit pension. I was trying to explain this to some small boys on some WhatsApp group. I gave up on them. If something is not tax, or a pension scheme, it must be voluntary. Even NHIF is unconstitutional. No, you cannot force anybody to pay that which is not tax or pension. No, it's be unconstitutional. Even NHIF is unconstitutional. Those deductions are unconstitutional. Anything that is not tax or pension must be voluntary. So this housing thing, voluntary. NHIF, voluntary. Anything, NSSF is under retirement, under pension. So that one you have to pay. Once there's a law to facilitate it, you'll have to pay. But anything else like housing, like NHIF, it must be voluntary. Yeah.
But this begs the question, Prof. Are we overtaxed as a country? And of course, that question was asked to the president, and he said that those were...
Those figures people can calculate of a percent of GDP of what. that doesn't work. Things don't work like that. Don't
he
go
said-
don't go to GDP to what. Just look at the reality. The reality is Kenyans may not actually be overtaxed. The reality is the salaries are too little. If I get 100,000 shillings, which I occasionally do, they get 30 shillings from 100,000. 30,000. So 30,000 from 100,000, I'm remaining with 70, I feel it. But if I was getting 1 million and you took 300,000, I may not feel it.
So could that explain the reason?
And again, the circle I have said, people are citing countries with higher taxes than Kenya. But they forget to tell us one more important thing, that those taxes do things which people can see. In some of those countries, there are welfare provisions. Health is free, education is free. So, even if you are in Switzerland and you are taxed 50%, 55%, but you see what your money is doing, everything is... People are not employed. If you are in the UK, for example, and you declare that I'm Manyora, I'm an old man over 60, and I don't have a job, I don't have a house, they give you a house, and then they pay you like £200 per week. Why would people not pay taxes?
Okay.
Why would they? Because at the end of the day, even the money you remain with after taxes, there are a few things you can spend on, because education has been taken care of, health has been taken in some countries, has been taken care of, and so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying?
I get what you're
So
saying.
that even if they take your income now and cut at anusu, what remains is enough for you, because most things are already catered for. Yeah.
So in short, you're saying
So
that
you can't just say, oh, GDP. No, it doesn't work like
this
that.
argument of tax.
Those are
as
economists.
a percentage of the GDP.
No, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. I've heard those arguments. Oh, we have not overborrowed. Oh, as a percentage of our GDP, countries like Japan are in 65%. But then it has also to do in what currency you are borrowing. What kind of economy are you running? It's not these figures that are used by World Bank and the IMF and these houseboys who call themselves economists. So they don't know. It's the reality on the ground. Kenyans feel burdened. You may use to call it tax. You can call it what you want to call it. But the Kenyan worker is reeling under the weight of deductions and is not seeing what the money is doing. Yes.
Raila has come on said quite very strongly on this, and he said particularly, you often use this phrase that punda amechoka, and he said at the time that if at all the members of parliament will fail to dismiss this bill and assume that it goes through, then they'll be left with no option but to rally behind the Kenyans to fight for their own rights. Do we perhaps now focus on, or perhaps think that some sort of a looming street protest?
We don't need that. We don't need street protests.
Then
Just
what,
need,
what did he mean by
let
that?
the president sit down with everybody else and decide if these taxes are okay. How can we implement? Can we shelve them for a year or two, as we discussed?
But don't you think this issue being as contentious as it is, it could lead to that?
No, it doesn't have to. I'm inviting the president. If you fail to convince the country, don't remove it. Put it there, let it pass as a law, but delay the implementation. As we talk about it, maybe we shall agree. As the economy improves, maybe salaries will go up. And maybe we shall implement it in 2-3 years' time. Just pass the law, but pend the implementation. It's a win-win situation. Let the bill pass in parliament, but let us pend the implementation up to 2 years or so. And then we look around, have salaries improved, has the economy improved, can Kenyans be deducted without making noise? Yes, and we go ahead.
Why would you pass a bill that you don't implement?
It has worked many times, even this VAT thing.
So what is
It's normal. It's a normal thing world over. You put a law is an infrastructure. So you deal with the infrastructure, the enabling legislation. You only wait with the implementation. Even this NSSF thing.
But the same thing, the opposition is saying if in case that bill is implemented, okay, it's passed.
They can have, I'm saying they can have a compromise. The compromise can be, like, let's pass it. But then, my time is up, by the way.
That compromise is not there?
No, I'm saying my time is up.
Actually, we're ending.
We can continue here. Then let them compromise so that we pass the bill, but we do not implement it now.
I think that amounts to double speak from you, because I don't get you clearly.
I'm saying if we must pass it, pass it, but pend the implementation. Compromise. You know, the world is about compromises. You can't push the president too hard. If you feel we will offend the president, he will be so injured. let's allow him to pass the law, but pending the implementation.
Okay.
It can be postponed for 10 years. This VAT thing was postponed, and on fuel.
10 years through which another regime comes on
And
board.
then you leave it to them.
And
You
then
kick
leave it to them.
the can down the road.
The housing stuff, of course, he's saying after around 10 years or 8 years or so, you can own the house. What if another regime comes and removes that?
But that's
entire
politics.
program?
That's how things work. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to stop the conversation at this point. But please, if at all you're watching us for the first time, please do not fail to subscribe to our channel here, and do not fail to tune into some of our programs that will be coming up next. Of course, we have here Jadel Kabiro, Richard Mwenja, and I here definitely will be taking you through everything, comprehensive analysis of everything taking place in this country and abroad. Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans.